Photographers are like villains in superhero movies. They never win. Their creative ideas are easily thwarted. They wear tights to work. Doesn't mean I'm not going to help 10 of them. If they ask me for help, I will help them.
All I want is the perfect camera. All I want is the perfect camera.
All right, we got an interesting experiment today. We're going to go through a bunch of different focal lengths to see how the scene changes. You care. 20mm 1.8 right now. Switch to the Canon soon 24 and just get longer and longer, more compressed. Our first helpless sewer rat actually sent me a picture through Instagram rudely. Should I sell the 1DX Mark III for an R3? Isn't the 1DX3 like really good? Same thing almost? I would do it. You're asking a man filming himself in his living room who thought blocking out the window with a black sheet would be a good idea for lighting what like a professional should use in the Super Bowl. That's the level we're at right now. I don't know what the hell you should do. R3 is fantastic. It's got the flippy screen. So if you're doing this with your R3, then yes. 4K 120p HD 240, I want it. But should you do it? I don't know. Get a real job, Super Bowl freak. Is Z50 good all around for budget? It's not good for anything, ever. There's no lenses. It's a forgotten system. There's 3 replicas of that camera. It's the same camera, only different bodies, and Nikon's like a magician trying to like show you, look at this new thing, and they're hiding something behind it. Look over here. And it's the same specs. If it was me and I was forced, I would get the Z30 because it has the better flip out screen. Still no IBIS, not a damn lens you could use. They're none are stable, but the skit lens, it's just tough to get a wide angle on that system. There's the 14 to 28. Are you gonna do that? It's like 3,000, 4,000. A 2.8 becomes a 4.2. What are you doing? The kit lens is trash. Why are you asking? I moved on from his boring life problems. We're now on the Canon EOS R with the 24mm. Are you seeing a better compression? That was not a sentence. Can background music be cut out using DaVinci isolation? Could save a lot of footage. It can. It's just, it's not gonna sound normal. I actually did it by mistake on my intro. The camera, all I want is the perfect camera. And like, it removed the beat from it. I was like, wow, it really works. Like, I'll show you. Okay, I'm now playing music. Let's get into hip hop. A grandmother stole my lunch. I punched her in the sack and ran home. That didn't rhyme. I'm like a murderous criminal underground hiding like subliminal messages. Okay, now let's see if DaVinci can remove the beat from the background. A grandmother stole my lunch. I punched her in the sack and ran home. That didn't rhyme. I'm like a murderous criminal underground hiding like subliminal messages. Okay, I think we learned a lot in that comparison. Is Panasonic G100 or Fuji X-T200 better for general photo video? I can't believe, oh, you could not have asked a worse question. You could not have thrown 2 worse cameras up into a pedestal when they belong in a donkey's pile of trash. I cannot believe you. If I had to use any of those, I might just quit YouTube at that point. Panasonic G100 removes stabilization. Not one lens you could use with it. On a tripod, I could probably get away with it. We can get a little Leica 12mm 1.4 with that. Could do it, I would. XT200 had the worst preamps I ever seen in my life. Heard. You can't see sound. I can. I might lean Fuji in that comparison just because that nice screen. It's like a bigger than usual, like 3.5 inch or something. High resolution is so fantastic. Fuji colors. We are now basking in the glory of a Voidy-Lander lens, a 1.2 in its origins. I can stay in focus if I don't move ever. Your question is, C100 Mark II, most cinematic image, XLRs on top handle, easy to move menu. Can't move a menu. Dedicated buttons for most important features, log files, edit, MacBook Pro, paired with a Canon 17 to 55 2.8 IS would crush everything you tried so far. Just ignore the center weighted autofocus. Don't walk around and talk with this beast. Look, you're living in the past. Am I in focus? I was not. Grow up. That lens is kit lens in its abilities. It's a zoom with zero 3D pop. It has image stabe. I don't need that. I'm in a studio. Why would you bother me? If I was to get that camera, and I want it, let's not pretend I don't, I would probably lean on like a Sigma 14mm 1.4. I don't think they have that. 14mm 1.8 or something. Do they even have it? Or the zoom, the 18 to 35 1.8. Get some Tonys. Zero autofocus, just right in the center spot. And I would be in a prison. And the XLR handles, I've debated this. Right now, you have a handle, mic's about there, wouldn't be good enough. I'd have to extend it further anyway, unless I'm on ultra wide, which you can't really get with that stupid crop. If you had something like the Sony 11mm 1.8, okay, boom, but they're not designing lenses for EF mount anymore, so you're stuck with what already exists, and nothing is good enough for me. Nothing. What lenses would you recommend for the Sony APS-C range, a wide angle and a zoom? I'm not sure that's the system you even want to be in, but okay, say you're FX30, you want to do YouTube stuff, you didn't tell me what you're going to do with it, so you're doing what I do, wildlife and this. I would get FX30, Sony 15mm 1.4. For the telephoto, I would get the 70 to 200 because all the crops, boom, G Master, Mark II. Or if you're a budget loser, get the 70 to 350, live in your mother's basement for a couple years, make it work, eat nothing but beefaroni, you'll get there. It's not gonna be magic. Or the ultimate dream for that might be the G Master 100 to 400. 4.5 to 5.6. Macro abilities with the crops. You could have some magic. I like that FX30 with the 240, like you're matching the Sony a7S III specs. Why did I look anywhere else? It's filming me. But with crops and more noise. No viewfinder. How dare you? Will a A7000 come? Nobody knows. I do believe it will. For your viewing pleasure, we are now on the Zeiss 55mm 1.8. I had to back up to unreasonable distances. Everything's really hard now. I can't even read your question. But the cinema's yours. Would you consider filming from a stationary spot like a wildlife hide? I think that would be a fun video and experience. Gotta head out early though, for those though. Listen, that's not my life. There's people who do it. Maybe when I'm 95 years old, I'll be sitting there and like, oh, this is cool. Look at that shot. I like to go for hikes. That's why I'm out there. It's not even about the wildlife videography. It's an excuse to go on the hike and get exercise and breathe fresh air and just be moving and discovering new things, even though I don't take any different trails ever. It's fun times. I like the journey. You never know what you're gonna see. Going to a hide, it's like, okay, we're sitting here for 7 hours. Oh, cool. I brought a lunch. It's cold now. Uh-oh. And you're just waiting for the same scene. Bunch of migrating birds. Who gives a shit about those? I like going for walks. You know what sucks about this lav mic and any lav mic that points this way? When I read your question over here, it's much quieter than if I was to read it that way. I wish I was the type of person who wore button-up shirts and then it would clip on that way and be pointed up like a proper person, or I could tape it to my nipples, but that never works. Casey, you have grown into a vlogging wildlife filmmaker through the years. What a single camera body feature function is most important to you? Slow-mo, stabe, color science, AF. If you're ever out in the northeast of the US, we'll definitely set you up with a new video editing rig, 1200 NVIDIAs. Thank you for entertaining us. Mail me the rig, please. Most important thing to me is slow motion. I've debated it all. Autofocus, not that important. I've gotten amazing footage with just back button focus, manual tweaks. So that's not that important. In super slow-mo, stabe is not such a huge issue. Even if you're like, oh my God, it's like, oh my God. It's nothing. It's okay. You could probably get away with no stabe. It's just when you're manually focusing and you're watching a jittery image, that's really hard. I wish I could get a slow motion camera. That's my thing. That's what I want, but they're so unreasonable. Even the ones like a Phantom, you kidding me, 100 grand? But even if you got like the Chronos 2.1 HD, it's a Canadian company. That should be my camera. It's very awkward. There's no auto exposures. The stabe, it's like a C mount, so you're not getting stabe. It might not matter, but I just picture, it's like, okay, I got a bird, boom, you're recording, boom. And then it's like writing to card. It's like a 5-minute process where you're like, okay, cut that clip out. Okay, save this to the SD card. And you're waiting. It's not just usable. Like, I just want an A7S IV with 480p. So while I would love to be looking at these slow-mo cams, that's really the genre I want to be in. They're not as usable as a regular mirrorless with autofocus, stabe, auto exposure, stuff like that. It's nice to just be able to pick and focus and boom. Whereas that's like more of a tripod thing in a hide type of life. When I'm 90 years old, I will do that. After I play a bunch of lottery tickets and I'm scratching win, and I'm like, yeah, we got it. Then I'll get it. I'll buy a hide. I'll buy your hide. We're now on the Sony 90mm macro, 2.8 in its origins, but we're back here and that's okay. No, I can't read what's your question? Why don't you shout, you piece of shit. Love your humor. Not a professional photographer, I'm a designer, so I'll just throw this out there as a layman. Wish you would lay down in a sewer and rats would feast on your shoes. During your video, wasn't Panasonic better than Sony every step of the way? Oh, well, I'll step back here to answer that. Thank you. Yeah, kind of. It's a little embarrassing, actually. Better colors, better stabe. Autofocus was as good, kind of. The thing is, I like slow motion. And that's where Penny actually took the biggest tumble. I can't believe the 120p reverts to contrast detect. And it's very unreliable, no tracking, doesn't look very good. And then the 180 is just manual focus, looks even worse. That's a tough sell. That is a tough sell. Whereas like Sony, you have HD 240p and nothing changes. Maybe the autofocus is a little slower, but it's still very class leading, very good. So like that's where Panasonic's not really shining right now. They have a bunch of different modes, but cripplings. It's like, yeah, we can do it now. Not together. We can autofocus and we have slow motion. Separate them, come on. They're not friends. Macro. I'm underexposed by 7 stops. So I have a feeling it's going to be the same story on the S2H, which it better be called, by the way. If it's the S1H2 and I have to say that in a video, I will file a lawsuit. You have plenty of time to change it now. Just carve out the 1, just make a little etch to make it a 2. It's not that hard. They're going to have like class leading specs, but oh, our autofocus doesn't work in that mode. What you thought. Come on, man. If you have 6K in there, I will also be mad. Nobody needs that. My biggest desire in life is for somebody to make a 2 megapixel 1080p 16:9 sensor. Just beautiful 1080p perfection with like 7,000 frames per second. No 4K, just beauty. Airy colors. I panned you to the right. Sony FX30 or Panasonic S5 II. It really does depend on what you're going to use it for. If I was just vlogging and doing YouTube, I would maybe lean Panasonic because it's full frame, way better stabe. But I like my slow-mo. And boom, they got 240p HD with autofocus. So I'd just be grabbing me a G Master lens, 70 to 200. That would be so light too. And that lens being so sharp and a 2.8 for wildlife with the crops, that might be magic. I will test it one day. I do have something coming soon. I'm gonna go pick it up actually after this video. A little testing from Aiden Camera. Oh boy, you all have been asking for it. And I finally got it. And we're gonna see once and for all, is it good enough? So, running through what we've done here today. We started with a 20mm. Very wide angle, very easy to use, but distorty face. Awkward, stretchy background. Was it nice? We switched to Canon. Better color science. Little more tone. 1.4 versus 1.8. 24, a little more normal looking. Nice. Then we went back to the Sony 35mm. Voigtlander 1.2, what a special look. Wow, was he in focus for any of it? At least 40%, and I don't mind those odds. That's a nice focal length. Then we went to the Zeiss 55mm. Pure magic. But now you're backing up so far you gotta do external audio, which I was doing anyway. But that becomes a problem. Lighting, does your light stretch far enough? Do you have the lantern of life? I doubt you do. And then we went to the Sony 90mm macro, which kind of destroyed my background. It brought me closer to it and separated me from nothing. And then I moved over here for some reason. And that's what we've learned today. I feel good. I helped a lot of people today. And thank you for shopping around wherever you need to. And subscribe. Tell a friend. What was your favorite lens? Subscribe for more videos. See you next.